what better time to plead and beg for some buffs than now? we have to beg for some buffs here. I hope that Daddy Capcom sees my fucking pleas and gives us some good buffs. I know it's not Christmas, but we have to beg for something. The next few things that I'm going to talk about is just what I want from Alex. What are my wish lists? So the first thing that I want is Lariat. I think Lariat right now needs a buff. Because right now, if you get a regular hit, you're +6, right? You're +6, you're doing 1,000 damage. And if you charge it, you get a little bit more damage. You get 200 damage added, but you're still +6. It doesn't matter if you charge it. It doesn't matter if you let it go. You're always going to be +6 here. And I think that needs to be buffed to be comparable to how it is on block right now. So right now on block, if you do Lariat, you're +3 on block. But if you hold it, you're +5. So you get 2 extra added plus frames. What I think should happen is I think with Lariat, instead of being +6, if you land the charged Lariat, I think they should buff it so it could at least be +9. Or at the very least, make it so that you get a stand medium punch off of the charged one. If I'm being very greedy, I would honestly really like for the regular hit of Lariat to be +7 instead of us having to do these fucking crazy calculations to make sure that we're perfectly spaced in order to make it +7. Because right now you can make it +7, like right there. But you have to like space yourself correctly. Like extremely correctly in order for it to be +7. Right now it's only +6 on hit. But that's the very first thing that I would say about Lariat. Lariat should be able to do that. I could talk about the armor and all that, but I don't think that's really necessary. I don't think the armor is like, yes, like the armor's cool and all, but I don't think they need to touch that at all. I think they just need to make they need to give this more plus frames, either on hit or block. No, on block is fine. I think on block it's like perfectly fine the way it is. But I do think that this should be like +7 on like regular hit. Because you do get +7 right now, but it has to be like a counter hit. So this will be a +8 actually. Punish counter, I think it's like +10. Yeah, +10. So that would be my first thing that I would give Alex. But the second thing that I would give him is I would probably make Prowler just a little bit better. So for example, I would either make it so he gets into it a little bit faster, or instead of doing that, if they want to keep it as is, the best thing they could probably do is buff elbow. They need to buff elbow with Alex in order to actually be worth using. And what I mean worth using, I don't mean like light. I think light elbow with Alex is goated. I think it's probably one of the best like poke tools or like pressure tools that he has. Even medium is okay as well. You know, it's not like amazing or anything, but medium still does serve its purpose. It's not a whole lot different of a startup or recovery. But the most useless elbow right now is probably heavy. Heavy is probably the worst version of elbow that Alex currently has, and that's because it doesn't really do anything special. The only thing that it does right now is that it just moves him forward like further, but that's about it. It doesn't really do anything that's like worth using. Like, why would you use heavy when you have like light or medium to like, you know, like work, especially since you can cancel like elbow at any point in the forward movement of Alex's like Prowler dash. You know, like I could do elbow like either super early in the middle of the animation or at the end of the animation. Same thing with medium and heavy, but because of that, I don't really see the purpose of heavy. Like why would you use it? You know, you're just adding a lot more startup frames to the time you actually hit your opponent, and your recovery is being increased by a lot more. heavy right now doesn't really serve a purpose other than just like if you want to like get yourself hit or get punish countered if they just like jump. My suggestion on what they should do with heavy elbow is they should either do one of two things. They should either make it so heavy has armor after a certain amount of time that he travels forward. Ideally, I would probably say that it should kick in like frame 3 or frame 5. I'll even take frame 6, dude. I'll even take frame fucking 6. But they either need to make this armored to like be worth using, or they need to make a or they need to remove heavy elbow and just straight up give us EX elbow. I think right now EX elbow would fix a lot of the issues that Alex has right now with a lot of the matchups. A lot of the matchups right now, if you saw my previous video, I talked about a lot of the matchups not really feeling that great. A lot of the matchups really fell on the 5-5. Like, it's like even. I don't really think Alex has a specifically like really good matchup. If Alex had EX elbow to where it's exactly like how it was in Street Fighter 5, where it has like armor kicks up at frame 3, he has 2 hits of armor all the way through top and bottom. If they did that with him and he had access to it in Prowler, I think a lot of the matchups would go straight from 5-5 to 6-4 in Alex's favor. Because right now, the defensive options that we have right now, when we get cornered or even against Fireball mid-screen or even pressing against like pressure, right now, it's just rough. So I think that's what they should do with elbow. They need to buff it in that way. The next thing that I want to talk about is Alex's DDT, of course, the meme move. Right now, the DDT, the don't do this move, the straight meme. I think this move is probably, if there was a tier list for how bad a move was, at number 1 would be Geef's Tundra Storm. At number 2, it would be Alex's DDT. This move is so bad that there's literally no point in like you using it at all. I think the only way that they could make this move work is if they make it comboable. For some reason, if they make it comboable off of something, then I think it would be maybe not that bad. But I mean, it also just wouldn't be that great. But there's really no purpose in using it right now. Like, I think the best example right now that I could probably give you is like how I explained it with Jury. I showed it off a little bit in my previous video. If she goes for this, you can punish it cleanly with DDT. But like I said, why go for DDT? We can just go for this. And you go from 2300 damage up to 3k. You go to 3100, almost 3200. You know? And you get much better pressure. So it's like right now it's not like what they need to do with this move is they either need to give it 1 hit of armor versus fireballs, or they need to make it comboable. Right now, that's the only way that this move like would be considered like worth using. Right now, it needs to either have 1 hit of projectile armor, or you make it comboable. That's it. That's the only way you make this move work. Combo after heavy elbow. You mean like this? A little V skill 2? A little V skill 2 action? If we could do that, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I think if you could cancel into DDT off of an elbow hit, I think then it would be sort of worth using. But yeah, that's about the only way that I could make those things work. Also, I guess they should improve the Oki that you get afterwards. The Oki right now is not that great. You have to spend a bar of drive meter to make it viable. But like I said, this move just overall isn't worth using. So even if you do get like driver stuff afterwards, you're not going to see it because no one's using this move because it's just that bad. The next thing that I would say for them to change is I would probably, I'm trying not to be too greedy. I'm trying not to be too greedy with like what I want for him to be able to do. But if I were being greedy, I would say stand light kick. Instead of this being a 6 frame, I would trade a bit of the range. And so instead of it being 6 frames, it's 5 frames. I think this being 5 frames would be really, really good because it would make stuff like this work. Stuff like crouch light kick into stand light kick. I mean, crouch light punch into the stand light kick would work. So you could get stuff like this natively. Because from here, another jab's not going to work, you know? But a stand light kick would work. So I think this would be amazing. And it would take him back to literally Street Fighter 5. This is a Street Fighter 5 combo. If they do that, that would be really good. But those are a few things that I would say if I'm not being too greedy. If I'm not being too greedy, that's what I would say he needs. This will never happen. They won't ever buff the crouch light kick target combo, simply because like it already does like a lot of really good things. I wouldn't change anything about the crouching light kick target combo. What about Stomp? Stomp is... I don't think Stomp... Yeah, I think Stomp is fine the way it is right now. There isn't really a lot that they need to change with Stomp. It already recovers really quickly on whiff. It leaves you +2. It goes a pretty decent range. I think the only thing, if I were also being greedy, kind of like how it was with Elbow, if Elbow can get the EX Elbow treatment, I don't see why EX Stomp shouldn't be able to come back either. You know? So if they give us something like EX Stomp back, I think that would be... No, I don't think so. Maybe it might make a difference. Maybe EX Stomp might make a difference, but I don't really think it's going to be... You see, the reason why EX Stomp was so good in Street Fighter 5 was because you could do it off of at any point. At any point that you were crouching, you could do EX Stomp. In this game, it's not as good because you can't do EX Stomp at any point that you're crouching. You have to go into Prowler and then go for the Stomp. So I don't think EX Stomp would make too much of a difference, if I'm being honest. The only way EX Stomp would make a difference in this game is if you got Stomp from like not having to go into Prowler. That's what I would say. I would say those are my like wishes to be in the next patch. Anything else that they give Alex is just a plus. But I think those are the main things that this character like needs in order to become a lot better. You could say that this could be 6 frames. But if they did that, then this would be, I don't think it would become like one of the best buttons that he has, but then that would make the Lariat buff, if they were to give him a Lariat buff, like meaningless. Because I'm only saying that Lariat should be +7 here, just so that he could link into stand medium punch. But if they make this 6 frames, then the Lariat buff doesn't need to exist, because then you could already like get this natively, you know? But honestly, the biggest buff that they can do to Alex right now, the biggest buff that they can give him isn't even direct buffs to him. The biggest buff that they could give him is that they nerf the top tiers. If they nerf the top tiers, then Alex would probably just be a lot better. Ed specifically, I need him to just, you guys know the Baki meme where the guy has like no fucking arms and no legs or anything like that. He's just like a bean, like in a hospital bed. That's what they need to do to Ed. That's what needs to happen to Ed. And then Alex like could probably do well against it. I probably would not complain about Alex at all if they did that to Ed. Mai 2, I don't think it's, well, I mean, just because Alex doesn't really do too bad into Mai, I don't think it's necessary for that to happen to Mai. Just because I feel like Alex does pretty well against her. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's literally all that I'll say about my wish list for Alex, right? He doesn't need a lot. He literally just needs like the Terry treatment. Terry was not very good on release, and then they gave him like a little quality of life buffs, and then he became a fucking S tier character. You know, top 5. Terry's literally top 5. There's no denying that. Character is fucking insane. And if he's not top 5, he's top 6. If he's not top 5, he's top 6, 100%. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you boys enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed it, as always, make sure to give me a like and leave me a little comment. I'd love to read what your thoughts are. Maybe you have better suggestions to Alex buffs than I thought of. You know, I do learn some stuff from you boys more often than not, so I'd love to discuss it and read it. But with that being said, I'll see you boys in the next one.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass